Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon. Hi, Sani Yusuf here, and today I want to talk about an interesting topic. Um, I guess we're gonna title this video "Why Men Need Other Men," and today this is a very gender-specific topic. I'm mostly gonna be focusing on the men, but for the women that might be watching, this might be useful to you to also sort of like understand a little bit about, I guess, how men operate and some of the things and the struggles we're facing. I was just watching a video by Hafiz Bawako. So Hafiz, if you don't know who Hafiz Bawako, he runs the Roommates podcast. Now the Roommates podcast is something I recommend to people, men or women. It's very targeted to young men, but they talk about a lot of positive things about how men need to level up and what they need to do to be better in life, right? Obviously, they're African Americans, and in the African American society, there is a crisis in masculinity in the sense that a lot of men are not being raised with masculinity in mind because they are raised in a family that unfortunately a lot of their fathers are absent. And if you don't have a role model figure and a father to sort of like show you what masculinity looks like, your mom can do the most wonderful job, but still, she's your mother. She's not gonna be able to show you what it means to be a man or masculine. And I think Tupac said that he said his mom did an amazing job, but he knew that if he had a father in his life, he would have been more confident. He would have been less rash. He would have just had a little bit, much more better things in life. And I'm lucky that I had a father. I still have my father in my life. I've had my father all of my life. And not just my father, I had other men because my father was working pretty much 7 days a week. And what I still realize is there are very few moments I had with my dad. I feel like what it means to parent a child is very different from a male and a female perspective, because I feel like fathers is more about presence. It's almost like your dad. You just need to know there's someone watching over you in case something happens. Like I don't feel like now I understand why a lot of people are like, oh, fathers need to be more present because they assume that a father working and not like doing a lot of the things that maybe we see moms doing. That means the father is not fully present because the father is not maybe taking the children for school run. And I think that's a very misleading technique. We tend to look at the feminine experience of child rearing and use that as a standard that must be what men need to do. I feel like men need to provide a different perspective. And if I look at my dad, right, my dad was rarely did he like my dad didn't take me to school or anything, but I can think of maybe my dad, the important things, he was there. Like when I would be graduated, he was there. In fact, my mom never really came for anything that I did. I didn't grow up with my mother. I grew up with my dad, but my mom never really came for anything I did or like even called me or anything. And I didn't hate my mom or anything, but my dad, you know, when I was there like to graduate, he was there, you know, and that meant a lot to me. When like a lot of things. So my dad really, he was present in the sense that when I would want to, like I still remember very early on when I was maybe I must have been like five, or when my dad asked me to put on a suit and he wore a suit. He has these French suits and he tends to buy me like a little mini me French suit. And we were throwing waters by the Aquateria in Festec Town in Lagos. There's this like little lagoon. We were just throwing stones. I said throwing water, throwing stones on the water. And I still remember that because that was such a nice experience. And it was just two men just really talking, just doing things. It's like me and my dad. And I remember very little. We barely had the do this, do that moment. It was more don't do this or you did this. I'm going to have to make sure you don't do that. But what that did is the best leadership that my father could give me was the leadership by example. Now, if you don't know my dad was an exemplary man. He's probably the most. I know he has his faults, but he's the greatest man I've ever known. And I always said I'll try to be like my dad, but I've already failed, and that's okay if I already failed because that's how much of a high esteem I hold him. He 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 led by example. The way my dad dressed, smelled, looked, addressed people, associated with. That was his example. My dad would come out looking clean, smelling nice. I still know how my dad's perfume smells like till today. If my dad should sit here for 5 minutes and I would say my dad has been home. So I knew that smelling nice was a nice thing to have. That's where I got my obsession for perfumes. Because I want to smell nice. I see the way people talk about my dad's perfume and all of that. I want that. Smells nice. I saw the way my dad talked to my stepmom, my mom, all of them, like, all the women in his life, or the women that came into our household, my sisters. That was a benchmark for me to how to talk to women, address women. He always respected women. I saw the way my dad associated with people from different religions. We are Muslim, and he would welcome people during like Ramadan to come and eat with us and all of that. When it was Eid time, my dad would share pieces of meat to every single household. Some of people were even cheeky enough to come and say they wanted the neck part or the ribs and all of that. And after that, we would still fry meat in Nigeria, the custom, and still share. We'll still share with every single household. When we first moved to our new neighborhood, my dad fixed all the street lights because they were broken. He fixed every single one of them, which allowed us to play football later than usual. And that was the thing. And then he connected that street light with our house's electricity supply, the generator supply, which meant once we turned on our generator, whether there was light or not, that street light was on. And people could stay out till late. That was where I learned my community nature, my generosity from, because I saw him give people when he didn't have to. So the best example that a man can set for a child, especially if that child is a man, is the one where he leads it, where he lives it. And when I wasn't around, he made sure he surrounded me like certain uncles who were a bit more rash. They used to smack my head when I did the wrong things. I probably hated them. But now I understand they were safety nets, because the most dangerous thing is a young man that has nothing to lose. That's the most dangerous thing. The Peter Pans of the world, the Robin Hoods of the world. If a man has nothing to lose, then he's willing to go far with violence and all of that. You don't want to have an 18-year-old guy with all that testosterone level running with he's never had an example of why he should sort of like curb the aggression, which is natural to men, and channel it to much more fruitful things, much more productive things. Now, why am I going on and on and on? This is not a podcast about my father. This is a podcast about why men need other men. And the problem today is I see a lot of young men, they don't have what I call a tribe or wolf pack. Men need other men. For women, it comes almost natural to them, right? Women evolved to be like, I would say, pack animals, right? Like in the wild, women always survived as a group. So there's power in the group, right? The matriarchal group. As human beings, women rarely survived on their own. Like it was not the norm. They survived as a group. The hunter, the gatherers. We were the hunters. The hunter can go off, but the women tend to be in groups, right? And you see that you see that the women were in groups. You see that in the animal kingdom again. I'm not meaning to get into entomological here or biological, but even the animal kingdoms, right? You got the alphas, the alpha males. What I don't really like that term as it relates to human, because it's very misleading. But like it kind of makes sense. So, and I guess it's because obviously there's a power differential between men and women, and I'm not coming here to say women are less than men before someone would quote me out of context. But physically, there's a average power differential, right? An 18-year-old guy physically is not the same as an 18-year-old girl. It's just not the same. If anybody's mad about that, go be mad with God. Physically, yes. So, I feel like maybe that kind of explains. I'm just why maybe women felt the need to let's be more communal. So women, why I'm saying this is not to give you a biological lesson. I feel like women have more of a natural community. If a girl breaks up with her boyfriend, she has these friends. She can go and just sit down, have coffee, drink ice cream, do all the things that we see in the movies, right? But a lot of men don't have that support system. And as a human being, you need a support system. So with women, it's very easy. That's why, for example, only 1 out of 5 people that are homeless are women, because a woman can always find either other women or another man to like shack up with. While we men, we don't have the same leverage. There are homeless shelters that literally take only women. We don't really have the same for men like that. It's not en masse. So men need other men, and I think it's because like today, for you to belong to a tribe of men, you have to be competent. You have to have some sort of competence. If you want to belong to my tribe of developers, you have to be a competent developer. If you want to belong to my tribe of football players, you have to be competent or willing to learn. If you're just gonna every day come and play shitty football, no one's gonna invite you because nobody, and you don't want to improve. No one's going to invite you. Competence. We men, we rate each other by competence, right? The best footballer will get paid more than everybody else, and nobody's gonna complain. Messi and Ronaldo get paid more than all footballers. We're playing the same game, 90 minutes, but we understand that they are more competent. They're scoring more goals. That's kind of how it is in the male world. We rank each other based on your productivity. You may not like it. You might work the same amount of job or hours. If you are producing differently to another person, it's perfectly okay in the male world. But I feel like today a lot of men don't want to be competent. They don't want to be competent, and that's why they're not finding these tribes, right? You're sitting every day, you're playing video games by yourself. Yes, these video games, they're addictive and all of that, but you today and you 3 years from now playing the same video games, you might have you become a better video game player, but what have you really improved in your life? Do you have more earnings? Yes, I know there's the KSIs and all of that. They are the 1 in a million. What have you improved? Have you improved yourself mentally, physically, emotionally? Do you know how to talk to men? Do you know how to talk to other women? Do you know how to cooperate? Do you know how to curb your aggression? Do you know when to be aggressive or assertive? All right? And these are some things that you don't really learn. I feel like places that can teach men, these are like the military. Martial arts is very important. If you find yourself a nice martial arts place or boxing gym or whatever, physical fitness, you can build a tribe from there, and then you can become competent. Because with martial arts, you're gonna go, I do jiu-jitsu, and I'm gonna go, and there's a 16-year-old guy that comes to jiu-jitsu, and that 16-year-old kid, right, on the physical fight, I have an advantage, but with jiu-jitsu will teach me that guy will pin me down, and there's nothing I can do because he's mastered the movement. Everybody becomes like, we understand a hierarchy. And even my jiu-jitsu gym is mixed sex, so there's some women in there. And I was training with a lady yesterday, and she would mess me up because she's more trained than me. And there's that respect. When we line up based on rank, right? So there's no sexism or anything like that. That's just how it is. It's based on your output. It doesn't matter what's in between your leg. It's based on your output. And I trained with her yesterday, and I was like, thank you, because she taught me a lot of things. That's just how it is. Now, that's a tribe that I have. Obviously, this one is majority men, but there's some women as well. But find a tribe of, and I would say find a tribe of men, because they can understand what you're going through. A woman can only understand what you're going through to a certain degree, but that empathy cannot, like, she cannot understand you fully. The same way you can only understand a woman thus, where there's certain things only women can understand that you cannot understand. The same thing why black people can understand what other black people go through. But some white people, as much as they try, can never understand that experience. It's kind of similar. So find yourself a tribe of men, and that requires you to be competent or willing to improve. Go to a gym. Martial arts is a good one, I tell you, because the owner of my martial arts gym is like 5'7", 5'8". My coach is 6'1", 2". Yo, when that man comes through, we know who's boss. That 5'7" guy, nobody can take him down, because he has experience. He's competent. He's a black belt, red and black belter. You know, so that kind of thing. So you really do a lot of things. You do things in your life where, as men, you need other men. You need to have other men that you can call to say, hey, what am I doing wrong? I have friends that I could call, like I feel like this video is getting a little bit longer, so I'm probably gonna have to make a part 2. So I'm gonna cut it off here, and you can watch the part 2. Or should we? Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Like let's make the part 2.